The forest was burning. Smoke rose high into the orange sky, and loud alien war horns echoed through the trees. The peaceful village of the Karelian clan was under attack. In the middle of all this chaos, a human soldier named Jace Carter crashed down from the clouds in a damaged escape pod. His ship had taken a direct hit during a battle in space, and gravity had pulled him to this unknown planet. He had no idea where he had landed, but it was clearly a war zone. Bleeding from a cut on his forehead and limping from the crash, Jace stumbled through the smoke-filled woods. His body was tired, and his head was spinning. But he kept walking toward the sound of screams. That's when he saw her, a young alien woman with silver-blue skin and long dark braids was backed against the wall of a sacred-looking stone hall. Her eyes were wide with fear, and 3 enemy soldiers surrounded her with weapons drawn. They wore jagged black armor, laughing as they stepped closer to her. Jace didn't think. His instincts kicked in. He rushed forward and yelled, "Leave her alone." But they didn't understand his words or didn't care. One soldier turned to attack Jace. Jace had no weapon. Until he saw something glowing inside the hall. A sword. It wasn't just any sword. It was beautiful, glowing softly with blue light, resting on a high stone pedestal. It looked important, sacred, maybe even forbidden. But Jace didn't care. He ran inside, grabbed the sword with both hands, and swung it toward the enemy. The soldiers stopped, all of them, even the one attacking him froze in mid-step, eyes locked on the glowing blade in Jace's hands. Jace struck fast, knocking the attacker to the ground. The other 2 ran. The girl just stared at him. Her voice was a whisper. You touched the sword of binding." Jace lowered the sword. "I just wanted to help. Are you okay?" But her face was pale, her hands shaking. All around them, more alien villagers gathered. Some looked angry. Others looked shocked. A few dropped to their knees. "What's going on?" Jace asked, confused. One of the elders, an older alien man with bright markings on his face, stepped forward. His voice was deep and heavy. "Human, do you not know what you have done?" "I picked up a sword," Jace said, still catching his breath. The girl spoke again. "That is my clan's sacred blade. It is only meant to be touched by the chosen. Protector, the one who picks up the sword." She looked at him with wide, serious eyes. "Must become my husband." Silence. Jace blinked. "Wait, what?" The elder stepped closer. "Our laws are ancient and clear. The sword of binding links to the life force of the clan's daughter. If she is in danger and someone lifts the blade to protect her, they are bound by fate." Jace looked down at the sword, still glowing softly in his hands. He had no idea it was magical or cursed, depending on how you saw it. "I didn't mean to." "But you did," the girl interrupted. "And now, I am yours, and you are mine." Her voice didn't sound happy. She looked more afraid than anything. Jace took a step back. "This must be some mistake. I'm just a soldier. I don't even know your name." The elder spoke again. "Her name is Liara, daughter of the High Matron, and you are now her blade bonded?" Jace felt dizzy. "Blade bonded?" "It means husband," Liara said quietly, still staring at him. "Protector, partner, for life." Before Jace could say anything else, more armored aliens appeared, this time not the enemies, but her clan's royal guards. They bowed to Liara, and then turned their sharp eyes toward Jace. "Take him," one of them said. "The trials must begin. If he truly wants to protect her, he must earn her." "What trials?" Jace shouted as the guards grabbed his arms. Liara looked at him once more before they pulled him away. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You saved me. But now you're caught in something you don't understand." Jace struggled, confused and angry. He had come to help. Now, somehow he was engaged to a strange alien girl and being dragged towards some kind of trial, all because he touched a sword. He looked at the glowing blade in his hand one last time. Great, he muttered. What the hell did I get myself into? Jace had always imagined being dragged by guards in a prison cell somewhere. But not like this, not on an alien planet. And definitely not while holding hands with the woman he had just accidentally married. The guards weren't rough, but their grip was firm. Their armor clanked with every step through the ancient stone halls, and no one spoke a word. Jace could hear only his own heartbeat, and Lyra's quiet breathing beside him. She wasn't looking at him. Jace glanced at her. "Are you okay?" Lyra didn't answer. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes focused ahead. Finally, they stopped before a massive, round chamber. The doors opened with a hiss, revealing a glowing golden ring in the floor, surrounded by glowing stones. At the center stood a woman dressed in black ceremonial robes. Her face was hard. Cold, Lyra whispered, "That's my mother." The High Matron. Great, Jace thought. Time to meet the in-laws. The matron's voice cut through the silence. "So, this is the human who touched the blade of binding." Jace stepped forward. "Yeah, I didn't mean to." She raised her hand. "Intent is meaningless. Action is truth. You lifted the sword. You made the bond." Lyra finally spoke. "Mother, he didn't know the law." "Silence," the matron said sharply. "He is yours now, by clan law. But he must prove he is worthy, or the bond will be broken. You know the price of that." Jace looked between them. "Wait, what happens if I fail whatever this is?" The matron looked at him coldly. "Then you die." Jace froze. "Okay." That escalated fast. "But if you succeed," the matron continued, "you will become more than her protector. You will be accepted into our bloodline. Our family, our future." Jace looked at Lyra. Her expression didn't change. He sighed. "Can I at least ask her a question, alone?" The matron hesitated, then gave a nod. A moment later, they were led to a quiet garden under the twin moons. The sky was deep violet. Flowers glowed softly under alien stars. Jace leaned on a railing and looked at Lyra. "Why didn't you say anything back there?" She didn't meet his eyes. "Because I didn't want this." "Yeah, no kidding," Jace muttered. "Neither did the first, but I don't get it. What's the real meaning behind that sword?" Lyra finally looked at him. "It was forged during the Great War. It links soul to soul. It was only ever meant to be lifted in desperation when no protector remained." She paused. "You picked it up. For me. Now the clan believes you're the blade bond. The one destined to lead beside me." Jace blinked. "Lead? Like rule your people?" Lyra nodded. Jace groaned. "I was just trying not to die. Now I'm locked in some alien royal marriage. Prophecy thing?" Lyra finally smiled, a small one. "It sounds worse when you say it like that." There was silence for a moment. Then Lyra spoke again, softer this time. "You saved me from a horrible fate. I was supposed to be married to General Karath, cruel, power-hungry, dangerous. The bond with you broke that plan. So, thank you." Jace looked at her carefully. "So this whole 'you're mine now' thing, it's not love, is it?" Lyra shook her head. "No, it's survival." Jace nodded slowly. "Then let's survive together." She looked surprised. "You'd go through the trials for someone you barely know?" Jace smiled. "I've done dumber things for worse reasons." Suddenly the ground shook. A sharp alarm rang out. A soldier ran into the garden. "Highness, General Korath has returned. He demands the human's death. He calls the bond a lie." Jace raised a brow. "And what does that mean for me?" The soldier answered coldly. "He has challenged you to the trial of blades." At dawn, Jace turned to Lyra. "Do I get a sword?" She handed him a small ceremonial dagger. "You get this." Jace looked at the dagger, then at the stars. "Fantastic," he muttered. "Guess I better not die before breakfast." The blade hummed. It was faint, almost like a whisper. But Jace could hear it clearly in the silence of the pre-dawn sky. He stood alone in the trial arena, barefoot on cold stone, facing a wide field of glowing alien plants and twisted trees. No audience, no cheering, just silence. Watching eyes hidden behind thick fog and stone towers. Somewhere out there was the beast. Somewhere out there was death. Jace took a deep breath. He was given no armor, no map, and barely a real weapon. Only that small dagger Liara had handed him, a ceremonial thing with a dull edge and ancient runes. He muttered to himself, "Why do alien trials always sound like a bad idea?" A horn blew once low and long. The trial had begun. Jace stepped forward into the wild terrain. The plants were strange, and the air felt heavy. Lights floated through the fog. Some were insects. Others weren't. His footsteps crunched softly on mossy ground, and his breath came out in clouds. And then he heard it. A growl. Low, deep, not far. He crouched, hiding behind a thick tree root. Across the clearing, the shadows moved. A tall four-legged creature stepped into view. Covered in bone-like plates, its eyes glowed red. It sniffed the air. Jace stayed completely still. Is this the beast I have to kill? He glanced down at the tiny dagger in his hand and sighed. Great, I brought a toothpick to a monster fight. But then, something strange happened. The beast didn't attack. It sniffed again, and then howled loud and long. A second growl answered, and a third. Suddenly, the fog broke open. 3 more creatures stepped into view. This wasn't a trial to fight one beast. It was a hunt. And he was the prey. Jace ran through the glowing brush, dodging sharp trees and jumping over low rocks. He could hear them chasing, hear their claws tearing up the ground. His lungs burned. He dove behind a fallen log and held his breath. One beast passed by. Another stopped, sniffed. Its red eyes flicked toward his hiding spot. Jace didn't move, but something moved behind him. He turned his head slowly and saw a small alien animal watching him. It looked like a glowing fox. It made a tiny chirp. The beast heard it. It roared and charged straight for Jace. He rolled out just in time, crashing down a slope and landing hard near a crystal pond. His arm scraped open. Blood. The creatures stopped at the top of the hill, staring. They're waiting for him to bleed more, or waiting for him to give up. Jace picked up a broken branch and sharpened it with his dagger. If this is a death trial, he muttered, I'm not dying lying down. As he stood, a voice echoed in his mind. The sword responds to intent, not anger, not fear, but protection. Liara's words. He looked at the beasts again, and then at the small animal that had chirped earlier. It was limping now, stuck near the edge of the pond. That's when Jace understood. The creatures weren't hunting him. They were defending their young. They thought he was the threat. Jace slowly raised both hands and backed away from the glowing fox. He made sure the beasts could see he meant no harm. He dropped the dagger. The lead beast blinked, tilted its head, then it growled low and walked away. The others followed. The fog cleared. A bell rang. The matron's voice echoed across the field. Trial complete. The blade has chosen, but his true test is yet to come. A few minutes later, Jace stood before the clan council, dirty and bruised, but alive. Liara ran to him. You're not hurt too badly? He smirked. Not as much as I thought I'd be, the council murmured among themselves. One elder stood. He passed the trial, but he did not kill the beast. Another said, no, he understood it. That may be greater, but the high matron raised her hand. Then let him face the second trial, tomorrow, Jace groaned. There's more? Liara's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, and the next one is not in the forest. He turned toward her. Where then? She looked at him with fear in her eyes. Inside the chamber of truth, where your mind is tested and secrets are revealed. The door to the chamber of truth slammed shut behind J.A.C.E. It was pitch black inside. No sounds, no light. Just a strange coldness in the air that made his skin crawl. He reached for the wall, nothing. Then, without warning, the floor lit up beneath his feet. Blue lights, circles, symbols. A whisper filled the room, not in words, but in thoughts. Reveal your truth, or be consumed by it. Jay stepped back. What the hell does that mean? A sudden burst of light blinded him. When his eyes adjusted, he saw something strange himself, standing across the chamber. But not just himself. A version of him, bloodied, broken, furious. You let everyone die, the reflection said coldly. Jace's chest tightened. He remembered the mission, his squad, the ambush in the desert, the friends he couldn't save. He stepped forward. It wasn't my fault, wasn't it? The reflection shouted. You lived. They didn't. The room darkened again. The ground cracked. Flames rose. Then just like that, it was gone. Silence. Then a warm voice echoed softly. The truth lives in regret, but healing lives in mercy. A door opened ahead. Jace, breathing heavily, walked through it and collapsed. He didn't remember falling asleep, but when he opened his eyes again, he wasn't in the trial chamber. He was in a small, quiet room filled with soft glowing lights and the smell of herbs. His shoulder was bandaged. His chest was warm. Someone had removed his boots, washed the blood from his face, covered him with a blanket made of woven silver threads, and sitting beside him, gently placing her hand on his chest, was Liara. She didn't notice he was awake. She was whispering in her own language. Her voice was calm, almost like a song. Her fingers glowed faint green as she pressed them to the wound near his ribs. Jace blinked. That feels nice. Liara gasped, pulling her hand back. You're awake, he smiled weakly. Didn't mean to interrupt the singing surgery. She looked away, clearly embarrassed. You weren't supposed to wake yet. Healing works best when the heart is quiet. Jace tried to sit up, winced, and lay back down. Guess my heart's still noisy. Silence hung between them for a moment. Then Jace looked at her more closely. Why are you doing this? Don't you have healers? Liara nodded. I do. But they serve the matron, not me. If they found out I was caring for you in secret, touching you without permission, I would be punished. Then why risk it? Jace asked. She looked into his eyes. Because I didn't want you to die. You faced your own guilt today, and you didn't run from it. No outsider has ever passed the chamber of truth, until you. Jace was quiet for a moment. Then he whispered, I didn't pass because I'm brave. I passed because I'm tired of running from who I am. Liara slowly nodded. That is why I trust you now. A soft silence wrapped around them. Then Liara reached into her satchel and pulled out a strange, glowing fruit. Eat this, she said. It helps with recovery. Jace took a bite. It tasted like mint and honey. His body already felt stronger. You saved me twice now, he said. First from those raiders, now from myself. Liara looked away. We are bonded, remember? By accident, Jace reminded her. Yes, she said softly. But not everything that begins by accident is a mistake. Jace blinked at her. They both sat quietly, the night air around them glowing gently with alien fireflies. Then Liara whispered, Tomorrow is your final trial. Jace frowned. What's the last one? Her voice dropped lower. You must face Koreth. In the Blade Circle, a duel to the death. If you lose, he claims me. If you win, you become part of our clan forever. Jace exhaled slowly. I'm not a champion. You don't need to be, she said gently. You just need to fight like someone who has something to lose. She placed her hand on his dot, and this time, he didn't pull away. The arena was silent. Too silent. It was the kind of silence that made bones feel cold. The kind that came before something terrible. Jac. He stood barefoot on the stone platform, surrounded by thousands of watching eyes. The entire Corellian clan had gathered, warriors, elders, even children. They filled the surrounding cliffs and towers, looking down on the outsider who dared to claim one of their own. He wasn't holding a sword. Not yet. At the far end of the circle stood General Koreth, taller than any alien Jace had seen. His armor was black and sharp, with glowing red lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. In his hand was a massive curved blade, twice the size of Jace's arm. Beside him, chained and guarded, stood Liara. Her eyes met Jace's, not with fear, not even with sadness. With hope. The High Matron raised her hand and shouted, "By law of the clan, the final trial begins. The sword of the bond will choose who is worthy." A servant stepped forward and held out the blade of binding, the same sword Jace had touched days ago when he saved Liara. The servant offered it to Koreth first. Koreth reached out to take it, but it refused him. The blade glowed hot and hissed, burning his palm. He growled and stepped back. The servant turned to Jace. Jace hesitated, then reached out. The moment his fingers touched the hilt, the sword pulsed with light blue and alive. It wrapped around his hand like it remembered him, like it chose him. Gasps spread across the crowd. Koreth bared his teeth. "A toy sword won't save you, human." Jace raised the blade. "Then why does it fear you?" The High Matron dropped her hand. The duel began. Koreth charged like a beast. No mercy, no honor, just brute strength. Jace barely dodged the first swing. The force cracked the stone beside him. He rolled, came up fast, and slashed low, but Koreth's armor deflected it with a spark. The fight was not fair. Koreth had years of training, muscle, rage, armor. Jace had heart and Liara. Every time he looked at her, something inside him refused to give up. Koreth struck again, knocking Jace's blade away. It skidded across the stone floor. The general raised his sword, ready to finish it. But Jace didn't run. Instead, he stood still and looked Koreth in the eye. "You don't love her. You just want control." Koreth roared. "She belongs to me." Jace whispered, "No. She chose freedom." And at that moment, the blade of binding flew on its own back to Jace's hand. It sang, a loud, high-pitched sound that echoed across the arena. Jace swung upward. The swords clashed, but this time, the ancient blade didn't break. It cut through Koreth's steel like it was paper. With a final strike, Jace disarmed him. Koreth's weapon fell. The crowd was silent. The matron stood slowly. Her voice trembled not with anger, but disbelief. "The sword has chosen. The bond is true." Koreth knelt in defeat, holding his wounded pride. Jace looked around, breathing hard, then dropped to one knee before Liara. "Your people may never accept me fully," he said, "but I meant it when I said I'd protect you. I'm not here to take power. I'm here because I believe in you." Liara's eyes filled with tears. She stepped forward and placed her hand on his shoulder. "And I believe in us." Far above, the stars blinked softly. And for the first time in generations, the blade of binding had found its true wielder. The sword was gone, not because Jace lost it, but because the moment the trial ended, it vanished into light, into the air, like it had completed its purpose. What remained was silence. Not fear, not anger, just silence. The people stared, unsure. They had seen a human wield their sacred weapon, win their ancient trial, defeat one of their strongest warriors. The law had spoken, but hearts were slower to follow. Jace stood on the edge of the arena, still breathing hard, when Liara walked toward him. This time, no guards held her back. No chains were on her wrists. The wind caught her silver-blue robes as she reached him. "You did it," she said softly. "I almost didn't," Jace admitted, wiping blood from his cheek. "I think I broke a rib, maybe two." She smiled. "You passed the final trial. Does that mean I can go home now?" He joked, half serious, but Lyra's smile faded. "No," she said, "not yet." Before Jace could ask why, the High Matron raised her staff and spoke. "Bring the fire leaves. Prepare the joining stones. The binding will take place tonight." Jace blinked. "The binding?" Liara didn't meet his eyes. "The wedding," she said quietly. "The blade chose you. Now the people must witness our bond, or the law breaks apart. And so do we." That night, the sky was painted with 2 moons and 1,000 tiny stars. Jace stood in the center of the ceremonial terrace. Strange glowing rings floated in the air. Drums beat slowly in the background, deep and steady like a heartbeat. Alien fire danced in glass bowls. He wore white robes now, with a silver crest stitched over the chest, the mark of the blade bonded. He wasn't sure if he was ready for this. Scratch that, he knew he wasn't ready. Marriage? He whispered to himself. "I came here by accident." But then Liara appeared. She wore a long veil woven with tiny starlight threads. Her skin glowed gently. A row of silver stones rested across her forehead. She didn't look like a girl forced into this anymore. She looked like a queen, and for a brief second, Jace forgot every reason he should run. She stepped up beside him and whispered, "Are you scared?" "Yes," he admitted. "So am I." She said. The matron stepped forward and held up a small heart-shaped stone. "To complete the bond, you must both press your blood to the stone, 1 mark from each of you. No lies, no hesitation. If your bond is false, the stone will shatter. If it's real, it will shine." Liara held out her hand first. The matron pricked her finger and pressed it gently to the stone. It glowed faint blue. Then she turned to Jace. He swallowed hard and nodded. The matron touched his finger to the other side. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the stone glowed, bright, strong, gold and blue mixed. Gasps echoed across the terrace. The matron stepped back. "The bond is sealed. The union is accepted." Jace turned to Liara. "So, this is really happening?" Liara nodded slowly. "Yes, you are now my blade bond, my protector." "My husband," he chuckled nervously. "You said that like it still surprises you." "It does," she said softly. "Because I didn't think I'd ever feel safe enough to choose someone. I thought I'd always be someone's prize, someone's tool." Jace looked her in the eyes. "You're not anyone's property, Liara. You never were. And I'm not here to own you. I'm here to stand with you." She smiled, and something in her expression melted. For the first time, the wall between them cracked. Then she reached out and held his hand. Not for show. Not because of law, because she wanted to, and this time, he held back just as tightly. The morning after the bond ceremony, the wind felt different, softer, calmer, but it wasn't peace that woke Jace from sleep. It was fire. A tower was burning in the east. Shouts echoed across the high cliffs. Horns blared. Guards ran past his quarters, yelling in Corellian tongue. Jace sat up quickly, grabbing his boots. "What now? We just got married." Liara burst into the room, breathless. "Koreth has returned. With rebels. He's trying to take control before the clan accepts our bond completely." Jace stared at her, stunned. "He was exiled. How did he come back so fast?" She shook her head. "He's not here for power anymore. He's here to kill us both and destroy the sword's legacy before it changes our people." Jace stood up, tightening his belt. "Then we make a stand." Liara grabbed his arm. "You don't have to fight again. You already proved yourself." Jace looked into her eyes. "No, I proved I could fight for you. Now I'll fight with you. Outside, The sky had turned red not from sunrise, but from smoke. Dozens of black-armored rebels stormed the upper terraces. The villagers screamed and scattered. The palace walls shook, but something was different this time. Jace wasn't alone. He stepped forward, not in uniform, not with an army, but with Liara at his side, holding her own twin daggers. The clan warriors turned to them, and slowly, one by one, began to follow. "Defend the blade bond," someone shouted. "To the fire towers," another cried. And like a rising tide, the people stood behind them. At the edge of the temple steps, Korath waited. His armor was even darker now, almost like it pulsed with shadow. His eyes were filled with hate. "You were never worthy," he hissed. "A broken outsider, a foolish girl. This bond is a lie." Jace stepped forward, blade in hand, not the sacred sword, but one forged by the people. He smiled. "Funny, I thought love was the greatest lie. Until I met her." Korath roared and charged, but this fight was different. Jace didn't fight to win. He fought to protect. Side by side with Liara, they moved like one. She blocked low, he struck high. She dodged left, he spun right. Korath was powerful, but they were together. And this time, the people watched not in silence, but in cheers. In a final move, Jace disarmed Korath with a powerful swing and kicked him to the ground. Liara stepped forward, blade to the general's throat. "You were never my protector," she said calmly, "and you never will be." She didn't strike him. She didn't have to. He was already finished. Later, when the fires were gone and the rebels defeated, the matron stood before the crowd. For the first time she bowed not just to Liara but to Jace. "The sword chose well," she said, "but so did my daughter." Liara turned to Jace and spoke clearly, so all could hear. "This human came from the stars. Not to rule, not to take, but to protect. He became my shield, my sword, and my heart." The people began to chant, "Blade bond, blade bond." That night, Jace and Liara stood together on the terrace where it all began. The stars above sparkled like silver dust. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "So, husband, are you still scared?" He smiled. "Yeah, but now I know what I'm fighting for." She looked up at him, eyes glowing softly. "You didn't just become my husband, Jace. You became our people's legend." He kissed her forehead gently. And under the twin moons, the warrior from Earth became the hero of another world.